In this video, I am going to show you how you can add a form above the table in Filament resource. Adding the form above table is very useful in so many cases. Suppose you have to add so much data in the table. Every time you have to click on this button. Let me try this. It will take few seconds and then this dialog box will open. Then you have to write the data here. Then you have to create. Again you have to add another user. Again you have to click on this. And you have to repeat this process so many times. But if you have this form above this table, you can easily add the data. Just write all the fields and press submit and your data will be added automatically to the table. So let's learn how to add this. It is almost a fresh Filament project. I have added department column in the table and added some dummy data in the table. You can see we have 101 results. And this is the dummy data that I have added. So let's start. Open the code editor. First we need to create a widget. So let's create it. PHP artisan make filament widget. It is asking for the name of the widget. Let's say user form. You can name it anything. Let's choose custom. It is at number 3. So we have to write 3. We don't want it to be in any resource. Let's just click enter. So let's create it in admin panel. Admin. Widget is created successfully. Open app folder, filament, widgets, and here you will see the widget that you have just created. In our case, it is user form widget. Let's open it. Also, we have to open this view file. Let's open it. Resources folder, views, filament, widgets, and userform.blade.php. Let's add this widget in the user resource first. Then we will create form in this widget. So open app, filament, resources, user resource, and list under user resource you have to open pages folder, and inside pages you will see list users. Let's open this list users class. Just ignore this commented code. We have a method get header widgets. You can see protected function get header widgets. Let's implement this method. It is returning an array. So let's delete this. And in an array, let's type our widget name. User form. Make sure you are importing the right class. Our widget is in app filament widgets. Let's import this. And class. Now we have added the widget on the page. Let's close this file. And here on the widget page, let's write some dummy text. Save it. It is just dummy text. Let's refresh if the text is visible. You can see the text is visible on the top of this table, means we have successfully implemented the widget on this page. Now we will create form in this widget. You can see on your screen it is not covering the full width. So let's make it full width. For that we have a property inside the widget. In the user form widget class, in this class you have to use a property that is column span property. So let's write here. It is the property name column span and make it full. Save it and refresh the page. Now you can see it is covering the full width. It is looking nice now. Let's create the form. Let's delete this dummy text first. In order to add form in this widget, you can read documentation in filamentphp.com website. Let me open it for you. In the Filament docs, in this form section, you will find adding a form to a Livewire component. Just click on this and follow these steps. You can easily read all this documentation. It is well written. Just note one thing, we have selected adding a form to a Livewire component. But some of you might be thinking that we are adding this in the widget. Let me tell you, this widget is a Livewire component. Let me open this class, control and click to open this widget class. See, it extends this component and it is a Livewire class. Control and click to open this component. You can say namespace is Livewire. So this component is a Livewire class. So this widget is extending this class and our user form is extending the widget class. So ultimately we are using that component class. So it is a Livewire component and you have to follow that step that I have just shown to you that are mentioned on this page. First we need to implement. Also I'm trying to explain everything to you so that you don't need to check the documentation again and again. So let's see. First we need to implement has forms interface. Let's say implements has forms. Make sure you are importing the right class. Filament forms contracts has forms. Control click on this. You can see interface forms. So we are implementing has forms interface and make sure you are importing it at the top. Also we have to use a trait. Use interacts with forms and make sure you are importing this filament forms concerns. You can see right here. Here you can write the form method. So we can directly copy it from the documentation. Let's open it. So it is the method. Let's just copy it. It is just to save some time. You can manually type it as well. And we have to import this filament forms. Make sure you are importing this class filament forms. We don't need this in the schema. Let's close this. We will copy the code from users and paste it here. Please note one thing, this state path data is very important. You can name it anything. Here it is data and I'll continue with the data because the form data will be saved in this property. Let's create this property as well. Public. Also, we need one more method, mount method. And here we have to write this form fill. As we are not returning anything from this method, it is optional. You can mention void here. Let's write another method. You can name it anything, but let's name it create. Here we'll save the data in database. And in order to show the form, we have to call this form here in this blade file. Let's create form element. In this form element, let's write this form. Also, we have to mention wire submit. When this form will be submitted. Here we have to write the name of the method, and our method name is create. It means when we will submit the form, we will get the data in the create method here, and we will write the code here to save the data in the database. And one more important thing is, after this form element, you have to write one thing, x filament actions models. You have to write this x filament actions models. Let's close this. It is important. You can read more about this on the documentation. Just keep it in mind that whenever you are implementing form, you have to write this line. Simple. You don't need to go into much details as of now. If you want to read, you can read it anytime. It is well mentioned on the documentations in the FilamentPHP.com website. You can refer to that. As of now, our form is empty, but let's check what's going on. Let's refresh our page. You can see this section is empty because we know that our form is empty. So let's copy the form from user resource. Let's open this user resource. It is inside app filament resources, and we have user resource. Let me delete this comment area. We don't need this. So let's copy this form. We have to copy everything within this schema. In this schema array, let's copy from here. And paste it inside this schema array. Paste it here. Let's import these classes. Filament form component section. We don't need this filament sections. We need these filament forms components. Imported successfully. So we have simply imported this section class, text input class, select class, these classes only. And now let's write the code to add data to the database. Our model is user model, app models, create. And in this, we have to write this form get state. Get state. We are already getting data in the form of array. So that's why we don't need to write any array notation here. We can directly pass it here in the create. You might be thinking why we are not directly calling this data property. We have this data property and it is being used in the form whenever we are submitting data, and obviously the data is being saved into this property because the data needs to be validated. So that's why Filament is doing all the stuff behind the scenes and giving us this thing. So we don't need to directly write this. That's why we are using this form get state. In this way, the validation is being handled. So we don't need to worry on that. Now let's open the page, refresh it. You can see now the form is visible, but the submit button is missing. Let's add the submit button. Let me open this blade.php file. Inside the form, we have to add a button. You can simply add button and give your own style, but Filament is providing some components and button component is available to us. Let's use that. X filament button. It's X filament button, and here just type submit. Save the file, open the browser, refresh the page. You can see now we have this submit button, but it is very close to the section. Let's add some top margin on it. Margin top, let's add 4. But the margin is not applied. We have to run npm run dev as well, because we have added tailwind classes. Now just refresh it. Now you can notice the top margin. So let's try to create a user. First of all, let me check. We have 101 results. Let's try to create a user. Just a test. Mobile number, let's add just a random number I have written. Department, let's say HR. Email ID, let's say test123@test.com. Password, let's say 1234. Submit it. Let's submit it. But there is no any indication that the form is submitting, or what's going on. Let's work on this first. So let's search for a loading component. We have it in the filament documentation. Let's open the documentation. In the core concepts, in blade components, here we have loading indicator blade component. Let's click it. Let's copy this. In this blade file, let's paste it here. Save and refresh the page. You can see we have this loading indicator. Let's correct its styling. Let's add it to span. And include them in a div. Let me assign a class flex item center. Let's add gap as 2. Refresh the page. Now you can see the formatting seems to be correct. Now it is looking good. But the indicator is running and we have not submitted the form as of now. Let's write our condition that whenever we will submit the form, then only we will try to show this. So we will use livewire's wire loading method. Here you have to write wire loading. Save it and refresh. First of all, let's fill the form. Just a test. Phone number. Let's choose department. Let's write an email ID and password. Submit the form. It is still not working. Let me check. Let's check it. Is the button. We have to assign the type attribute. Type submit, save the page. Let's write it again. Let's try to submit the form now. You can see now the form is working as of now. Form is submitted successfully. So, but you can see our data is still on the form, and here we have 101 results. Okay, so first of all, let's try to refresh the page to check if the user is added or not. Let's refresh it. And you can check right here at the bottom. Now we have 102 results, means the data is added to the form. Okay, so where is the user? So it is maybe on the last page. Let's click the last page. Here is the user, just a test. Let me set the default sort of this table first. On the user resource, in the tables, let's set default sort and created at column. Choose descending. Now the table is set to the descending order. Let me click on this users. Now the data that we will add will be at the top because we have set the sorting of this table to the descending order on the basis of created at column. So you can see here is the user, just a test user. Okay, so first we need to erase the data when we will submit the form. Let's do this thing first. On the user form class, in this create method, after this line, when the user is created, we have to write this form fill. This form fill. Yes, it is the same which we have used in the mount method as well. Here it is. Now let's refresh the table. Means when the user is created, let's refresh the table. Okay, after this, we have to dispatch an event. This dispatch. Again, it is a livewire thing. You can name it anything. Let's write this refresh users table. And let me copy this event name. Now we have to open in the app folder, inside filament folder, inside resources folder, we have user resource folder. Open this user resource folder. Here we have pages folder, and here we have list users.php. Let's open this and let's create a method here. You can name it anything just to refresh the page. You can randomly type anything. It is just to refresh the page, and the whole magic is here. Hash on in case you don't know about this, it is a livewire thing. We are dispatching an event from here and we are listening to the event here. Let's refresh the page. Let's create another user. Let's say second user. Again, type some random number here. Choose the department, sales. Second user at test.com. Password 1234. Submit it. Now you can see the data is automatically added in the table. It has automatically refreshed this table component. So as of now, we have successfully added the form in the resource. And I have to show you one more thing. Whenever I am refreshing it, you will notice the page will be loaded first and the form will appear after some time. That is because of lazy loading. See, the page is loaded but the form is appearing after some time. Let me refresh it again if you have missed. Let me refresh it. The page is loaded and the form is appearing after some time. It is good practice otherwise because it is using lazy loading. You can remove this lazy loading. Just open the user form class. Here we have lazy loading property. Lazy is lazy. Let's set it to false because our component is not lazy. It is very active. Now refresh it. Now it is not lazy. It is so much active and actively, participating. Let me refresh it again. You can see now the form is not lazy loading. Let's try to add another data here. Let's type third user, some random number here. Let's choose department as finance. Let's write third user at test.com and password 1234. Submit it. You can see the user is added in the table. So we have successfully added form above this table in the resource in Filament. I hope you have learned something from this video, and please subscribe my channel for more interesting stuff. So see you in next video. Thanks for watching.